Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the NBA slate for Saturday. We only have 5 games today, but there's a lot of injury news that we already have and that we're going to be waiting on for this one. So, looking forward to breaking it down, though, nonetheless. If you guys enjoy the videos, appreciate the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Yesterday was a low-scoring day of NBA. A lot of these days have been kind of low-scoring, so didn't come through, but hopefully today goes a little bit better. Point guard plays today. I also have an NFL video out later today, and for MMA, I'll probably post some pics on Twitter if you can check them out. For point guard plays, they're still with the Lakers are without LeBron James again, so Russell Westbrook's going to look like a good play. He's approaching $11,000. Last game, played 35 minutes, didn't really have a good game at all. Shot the ball decently well, 27 points, 10 of 23, but didn't have that many rebounds or assists, didn't have any blocks or steals, and had 4 turnovers. It's a spot against Portland, which should be a high-scoring game. But I think I probably like Davis a little bit more than Westbrook just based on the other, you have so many good plays at point guard. Lillard had another bad shooting night, but he's still very affordable. His price on DraftKings is now down to $9,400. He shot 2 of 13. He's now shooting 33% from the floor and 21% from distance this year. Nothing really positive. He's been a little bit better at home if you want to play that sort of narrative. I just kind of like this game, so I don't mind getting to Lillard. If you want to save $1,500, it could pay off if Lillard has a good game. Hopefully, that's going to happen soon. Mitchell's 93. We have to wait and see if he plays. Even if he does play, then I don't want to pay 93 for Donovan Mitchell against the Heat. If Donovan Mitchell plays and Kyle Lowry plays, that's might be just one game that I kind of just cross off because both teams are very good defensively and shouldn't be a very fast pace at all. But if Mitchell is out, then you're going to be looking at Clarkson. You're going to be looking at Ingles, Bogdanovich, Mike Conley. They're going to be looking like great plays. And then if Lowry's out, then you can look to maybe Tyler Hero, although he is expensive at almost $7K, but Butler would look a little bit better. Bam. If you don't want to pay up for Lillard, I think you can go with McCollum. He's down to just $7,900. He's been better than Lillard the entire season, a lot more consistent. 42, 44 in his last couple of games. The price tag is still reasonable. Takes a lot of shots, and they do stagger the minutes with Lillard and McCollum, so he does have a lot of time out there on the court without Lillard, where he just handles the ball and gets more usage. Chris Paul's been playing great. Matchup against the Hawks is a decent one. 84 for a guy that gives you huge upside in the double-double department, gets you a bunch of assist opportunities, and last game he had 7 stocks against Houston. He had 4 stocks a couple days ago against Cleveland, so that's really boosted his fantasy output, but he's averaging 2.4 steals per game on the year, so I don't think that's really something out of the ordinary. We wouldn't expect 7, but possibly 2 or 3. The price tag is still something that I don't think I'll get to at 84. Same thing with Devin Booker. If I wanted to get to anybody on the Suns, I looked at DeAndre Ayton, who's only $6,500. That price tag is really cheap in a matchup where you'd expect them to use Ayton a lot against Collins and Capella. And then the Sixers are dealing with a lot of injuries and COVID protocol issues, so Matisse Thybulle just entered the protocol. So if he's out, there's still Danny Green is questionable, as well as Furkan Korkmaz. You're probably going to need one of those two to play just to have enough bodies, because last game they had to run a couple of centers off the bench, Drummond, and then they also had to play Paul Reed, and they only ran 8-man bench. So if those guys are out again, then you're going to be looking at a 7-man rotation probably for the Sixers. But we have Jaylen Brown out for the Celtics, so right now in the 5K range, you have a bunch of good options. You have Clarkson if there's no Donovan Mitchell. I like Dennis Schroeder right now without Jaylen Brown. He should jump into the starting lineup. Should get you mid-30s in minutes, if not more than that. He's been fine on the year. He's been shooting the ball at a decent clip, 37%, 33% from distance. Has a good usage rate, especially without Jaylen Brown. That should even increase. And should be able to make some plays with the assist and should get just a little bit of a bump in minutes. So a good price tag for a guy that's averaging around 6x already on the season for his price tag, and now he gets opportunity to do a little bit more. I like Shake Milton at 45. He's a good play either way right now, but if they're without Danny Green or Furkan Korkmaz and he starts again, then he would look like a great play at $4,500. And then all the way down here, don't think you need to go to any of these guys in the 3K range unless somebody happens to be out. The only guy I would mention is Anfernee Simons as a good value play right now. He's been productive this year. shooting the ball at a great clip, and he's top 20 plus minutes almost every game this year. Got 19 against Charlotte, but normally he's been playing around 20 minutes. He's averaging 23 on the season. He's averaging just about a point per minute. He's been one of their best shooters coming off the bench, and he can put up close to 30 fantasy points if he has a really good day, but even in the mid-20s would be enough at $3,800. So depending on the other news that we get on the slate, I think you could, for now, as like a first look kind of play, you can feel good about plugging him in like the guard spot. Moving on to shooting guard, it's a spot where Zach LaVine is expensive at 86. It's a same matchup that they had against the Sixers the last game. LaVine played fine in that one, put up 40. It was a DeMar DeRozan day where he topped for 30 real-life points for the third game in a row. I think LaVine will get you like 40. If he can get you more than that, great, but he gives you a pretty solid floor. He plays big minutes, and the thumb injury does not seem to bother him at all. I don't mind getting down to like McCollum at 79. Tyler Hero looks okay, but it's a tough spot against Utah. But if Hero would only be somewhat in consideration if there's no Lowry. If Lowry plays, then I have no interest in Tyler Hero. And Clarkson looks good if there's no Conley. If there's no Donovan Mitchell. Ingles would be a great play. Shake Milton looks like a good option right now at 45. Korkmaz 43, dealing with a wrist injury. If he plays, he should see 30-plus minutes, just with the lack of bodies right now for the Sixers. And you would have other good cheap plays, like Cam Reddish can return value at 44. Duncan Robinson is only 41. He'd be a good play. If there's no Kyle Lowry, get a couple of extra minutes, but he's a guy that could play 35, 36 minutes in a close game. Last time he just shot 5 of 17. All 17 shots were three-pointers. But it doesn't take much to hit value at 41 when you're playing as many minutes as Duncan Robinson does in close games. And Alex Caruso, just because he's very cheap, he gives you upside. Maybe you can go to him over Simons if you wanted to, just a guy that most likely will close every single game because they just don't have that many options right now with the injury to Patrick Williams. So you could upgrade from Simons to like Caruso. I think that right now both look like decent value plays, but Caruso might get you a couple of extra minutes, so he might look a little bit better just from a projection standpoint. But I'm going to go ahead and plug in Shake Milton for now. I don't know if they'll get both Korkmaz or Green back, but even if they do, Milton should still see good minutes, even if he comes off the bench. But if he starts, he looks like a great play, so we can make some changes depending on what news we get from Philly. Small forward, Tatum looks great. There's no Jaylen Brown, so Tatum will just get a huge bump in usage. He's been struggling with his shot the last few games, 23, 25%. But he's going to play big-time minutes. The matchup isn't terrible against Dallas. He's actually been a lot better in the 6 road games, if that means anything. But probably not. It's such a small sample size. But we know Jaylen Brown and Tatum take most of the shots on the team. Without one of them, the other guy's just going to take a big bump. So Tatum's going to be one of my favorite spend-ups on the slate. And then we still have no LeBron, so you're going to be looking to try to spend up for at least one of Davis or Russell Westbrook. Mid-range, you have like Norman Powell, who's been playing good minutes for the Blazers. He's been really shooting the ball well, keeping them in games. 52% from the floor, 46% from distance. Gives you big upside at a sub 5K price tag. Niang looks like a good value play right now, but if they happen to be without Korkmaz or Green, then he looks like a great play. There's a chance he could start, but he's still seeing starter-level minutes even though he comes off the bench. Can get you close to 30 fantasy points without doing too much. So Niang and Powell are my two favorite 4K options for now. And then Porzingis is also questionable, so that could impact like Dorian Finney-Smith, who's at a somewhat decent price tag at $4,500. And then in the 3K range, don't really see anybody except for maybe like Cam Johnson as a pump play. Right now, I'm just going to go ahead and plug in Niang. At 47, the Sixers are going to be shorthanded today, so you might want to get to a couple. Or we could go with Norman Powell for now. Just depending on what news we get out of Philly. If they're without either one of Green or Korkmaz, then Niang looks like a tremendous play just because he's not going to have the bodies at all. Power forward, go up to Tatum here at 96. Looking to do a little bit of a stars and scrubs approach. Like the scrubs are still going to be somewhat like 4 and 5K range options. But I'm looking to get to 2 expensive plays on the slate at least, and one is going to be Tatum for sure at $9,600. I like DeRozan is still at a decent price tag. He's been balling out for the Bulls this year. He's put up 53 in his last couple of games, getting you good rebounds, playing good minutes, being super efficient with the shots because He normally doesn't take a lot of threes. He's just right. The mid-range king is DeMar DeRozan. Horford is 76. Maybe he gets a little bit of a bump without Jaylen Brown. He's been productive most games this year. But really, it's Niang at his price tag. And then it's Covington, who could return value as well at 41. He's a little bit risky just because you're going to need some of the shots to fall, which it has the last couple of games. Or sometimes if he's not playing well, he's just going to get you in the single digits or in like the low teens. It was a little bit risky, but maybe he can stay hot like he has the last couple. He's a pretty streaky player. If his shot's falling, if his shot's not falling, it's going to linger. If his shot is falling, it's going to linger. So right now he's been kind of hot. So you might want to stick with, or you might want to jump onto Covington as a pretty good value play at 41. Moving on to center, we have, you have the top end would be Davis and Embiid. Embiid and Davis are separated by $200. I'll still side with Davis. It's basically the same price tag as Embiid. He's been a lot more productive this year, plays huge minutes, especially without LeBron. Just going to get a big bump in rebounding and usage rate. The matchup is solid against Portland. They have a small front court. Besides like Nurkic, they don't play anybody really big at the 4 with Covington. So just having to deal with Nurkic, I expect Davis to play really well in this one. He's going to play big minutes, and they're going to expect him to carry the team offensively. So this going with these 6 leaves you with 56.50. Other plays at center that look appealing would be like Nurkic. Just going up against Davis, you're going to need him out there. But really, I like DeAndre Ayton's price tag at 65. Robert Williams looks like worthwhile at 57, and Covington would be the last option there. So that's about it for the DraftKings side. A quick early look. You're going to be looking to get to some of these Celtics players, some of these Sixers guys, just with how thin 6 Philly is. And then Portland, they look like decent value plays on some of them. Like Powell is affordable, Covington is affordable, and then I like McCollum, Simons, and Lillard's price tags. So that's it for DraftKings. Let's touch on FanDuel. Okay, for FanDuel, it's a little bit of a different story than DraftKings. Like some of these expensive guys on DraftKings kind of stick out over others, but on FanDuel, like you have Davis at 10.6 and Embiid at just 93. So a little bit more of a decision point that you're going to have to make with yourself. You even have some cheaper plays like Vooch down to just 81. But going back to point guard, it's pretty easy to get to Westbrook on FanDuel at just 96. You can play him at point guard or shooting guard, so that makes it even easier. I prefer him to Luka today, just based on not having LeBron out there. I like him more than Lillard, just 1,000 more on FanDuel. And then for like the other guys here, I like Zach LaVine's price tag at $7,900. Dennis Schroeder at 6K, still playable, but not as good of a play as he is on DraftKings, but I still like him at that price tag. Conley looks great if there's no Donovan Mitchell. That would be kind of a tough price tag to pass up on at 56. Lowry's questionable if he plays. Good price tag on him as well at only 59. Then you have some of these Sixers guys that are affordable like Shake Milton, Seth Curry, Clarkson, depending on Mitchell news, would be a good play. But right now we'll go with Russell Westbrook. Shooting guard, Butler is 10K. I'm not going to pay 10K for Butler against the Jazz when I have Luka just $200 more. Or I can go down for like DeRozan, go down for McCollum, Zach LaVine. They look like better plays than Jimmy Butler today. Hero looks a lot better on FanDuel if Lowry plays. He still looks playable, but if Lowry's out, that would be a great price tag to jump on at only $6,400. You're just going to get a ton of usage off the bench and play and close with the other starters. Right now, just go back to Dennis Schroeder at the position. Depending on the news out of Philly, we can make some changes here and go with like Maxey if they're super thin, or definitely go with Shake Milton if he starts again at $4,800. But right now, going Schroeder, expect him to start in place of Jaylen Brown. He's been productive most games this year, especially without one of Tatum or Brown. He's been pretty productive. Small forward, Butler is the most expensive option, but I will gladly go with Tatum instead at 95. Great price tag on FanDuel for a guy that gives you a huge upside, just missing a high usage player, and is going to just have to play more minutes and do more of the offensive scoring. Powell is 61. I don't really want to go there. I like his price tag on DraftKings a lot more. If there's no Porzingis again, then you can look to Tim Hardaway at his price tag. And then other guys in the 4K range would be Ingles, depending on Mitchell news. Crowder looks like a good play at only $4,500. And then I like Covington's price tag. He's a little bit more viable on FanDuel just because he gives you blocks and steals, which account for more fantasy points there. And then I like Danny Green if he does suit up and he does start. Just going to have to play pretty big minutes today. Power forward, you have Davis at 10.6. Somebody that I will look to get to. It's still something you're going to have to work on if you want to play Davis or you want to play Embiid. I still prefer Davis just because he gives you that monstrous ceiling, which Embiid does as well, but Embiid hasn't really shown it this year. Maybe if they're super thin, then you can go to Embiid, but they still have Drummond there, so it's going to be rare that Embiid ever plays just like 38 minutes because they're still going to give Drummond his fair share of like 12 to 15 or like 12 minutes at least. But I'll go down here right now. You have Niang at only 46. He's going to get you good minutes tonight, depending on the news. Even if both of those guys play, you should still see some good minutes, just without Tobias still, without Thibault, who has been playing huge minutes for the team. Crowder is a pivot here. You can also go up a little bit if you wanted to, or go down a little bit to Covington at 43. But I like what I've been seeing out of Niang. When he's in the game, he shoots a lot of threes, and he gets you a lot of rebounds. So it's pretty easy for him to be productive, and he should be getting 30-plus minutes again today. Then at center, it's a decision point between Davis and Embiid. Right now, I have Davis in there just without LeBron, given the matchup against Portland. Other guys, you could look to our Vooch, Embiid. And then I don't need to go all the way down here, but if I wanted to, it would be for Clint Capella at only $6,400. That is a pretty favorable price tag. He's been giving you like 30 to 40, mostly like 30. But the minutes have gone up for him, which is a good sign. Utah, he played 35, played 32 against Brooklyn, and 33 against Washington. So he's at a good price tag, can get you a lot of blocks as well. So Capella would be a good play, and then maybe you can look to like Robert Williams, although you could use him at the forward spot instead. There's going to be a lot of news that I believe, even though it's only 5 games, that will change kind of the direction we're going with on this slate. But that's about it for the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck tonight. I will have an NFL video out in a couple of hours. So stay tuned for that. And I'll see you all next time.